Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Poorboys Little Homestead. As always, if this is your first time here, thanks for dropping by. Feel free to drop by anytime you feel, my friend. Guys, today we are finna can us some tomatoes. Now, I know you probably seen a video a couple of days ago where I canned some tomato juice. And I already done my salsa for the year. But now we finna can tomatoes. As always, if you don't have a canning book, you need to purchase a canning book. I'm gonna say this in everything I can. Don't never depend on someone's videos. There's all kinds of ways of doing things. My mom didn't do things and my grandma didn't do things the same way as this canning book calls for. But to be on the safe side, I more or less go by the canning book. Now, they was way more experienced in it. And another thing, guys, back in the day, when they canned their food, they turned right around and eat their food. So it wasn't canned for long periods of time. And that may be why they got by with some of the things they got by with, to where nowadays, if you can food like myself, we can this food, and I've eaten canned tomatoes that was 2 or 3, sometimes 4 years old. And one of the examples is the canning book, especially this ball book, calls, and you'll see me after a while putting lemon juice in my jars. That's because you got to make sure you got enough acidity in order to be able to water bath the can. When you got all different kinds of tomatoes, different sizes, different ripeness, you don't know how much acidity you got. Again, back in the day when my grandma and them done it, well, they may can 20 jars in 2 months, that'd be gone. So that may be why they got by with what they got by with, I don't know. I'd just rather be on the safe side and not preserve me no food and it go bad, or I eat something that causes me to get sick. And I don't want y'all to do that neither. So canning tomatoes, I always turn to my book, because for canning tomatoes, I'm going to cut these in quarters and halves according to what size they are. When we water bath can, it's going to be 1 hour and 25 minutes. To where on a tomato juice, the way we done it on the book way, it was like 35 or 40 minutes. It's also different if you packing your tomatoes in water or you packing them in their own juice. Now I'm gonna pack mine in my own juice. So what I got set up here, I got my boiling pot and I already got my water up to a boil. I got my electric ball canner over here, got my water up. I got it just below a boil. I washed my jars, got them clean. I got my jars in here that sanitizes them in that hot water. So what we're finna do next, we're finna put us some of these tomatoes in this boiling water, and we're gonna let them boil. And that time varies. I'm gonna just say approximately a minute, sometimes 2 minutes, according on your tomatoes, how thick the skins are. But we're gonna let them boil in that water until we start seeing the skins crack. Once we see the skins start cracking, I'm gonna pick them up, I'm gonna tote them over to the sink, and I got some water in that sink, and I got a froze ice jug in there for to make the water cold. We're gonna dump our tomatoes in that ice water. I'm gonna peel the tomatoes, cut them up, decore them, get my jars out. We're gonna put the tomatoes in the jars, and then I'm gonna dip some of this juice that these tomatoes was boiled in into my jars. That's what I'm gonna use to juice my tomatoes. Like I said, everyone does it different. There's all types of ways. You can use just hot water. We like using our juice out of there. It gives it more the tomato taste, and the tomatoes I done last year was great. And my wife makes some of the best tomato gravy you ever want to eat. Yeah, she does, especially with them big cat head biscuits I make. So it turned out so good last year, I'm gonna do the same thing this year. So right now I'm gonna just start putting me some tomatoes over here in the pot. and we're gonna boil them, and then we'll move on. I'll bring y'all over here and let you look in the pot once I get it loaded. All right. We're gonna start dropping these tomatoes in here. Now guys, I try to pick through my best tomatoes first, the ones that ain't got no bad spots to cut out. And then my tomatoes that I'm gonna be doing last, I'll have to do some little cutting on them. Some of these tomatoes could be a little more ripe, but by the time some get ripe, the other ones is too ripe. And I know when I can my tomato juice, if y'all watched that video, I froze my tomatoes, and that's fine when you're juicing them or making salsa, but if you freeze them and then try to make tomatoes out of them, they too smushy and stuff, and I don't like that. So that's why I can't freeze my tomatoes, and I don't get enough tomatoes at one time to have a big batch of just ripe, because actually you want them real ripe, real red. But like I said, I got some of mine here. Some of these here I ain't gonna do today because they ain't ripe enough. But some of them, they gonna be kind of on the edge. I'd rather for them to be ripe, more ripe, but they gonna work out. My goal today is to get at least the minimum. I got 11 pint jars in this ball canner, and I want to at least get 11 today. And then when I collect some more tomatoes, I want to get me about 7 more quart jars full. So I got my tomatoes in here. Turn my fire back up and bring my water to a boil. And I kind of move them around a little bit. That way I can see what's happening to the tomatoes on the bottom. And you ain't cooking these tomatoes. All you want to do is blanch them enough that the peeling splits. That way they're easy to peel and decore. You can see my water ain't up to a boil, but you can see the peeling already busting open on some of them tomatoes. That's all we want. You got a little steam in y'all's eyes. Y'all wipe your eyes now so y'all can see better. Get that steam out your eye. Now I better take these to the sink and dump them in here and bring my pot back and load it back up. Cause like I said, I want to make sure I'm gonna have enough to fill 11 pint jars. If I have too many, that's okay. I'll take another little pot, and after I core them and cut them up, I'll put them in that, and I can set them in the ice box and keep them cool until I get ready for my next batch. All I'm gonna do is dump these in this cold water. Now we're gonna go back and load this back up. And I think one more batch of that and I'll be guaranteed I can have 11 pint jars. Now guys, I know y'all getting a look at my memory wall here. This is what I call my memory wall. I got stuff up here. I don't know if y'all can see it over there. I got stuff up here like that saw blade. My dad was a carpenter, and that was one of the last saw blades that was on one of his circular saws. And I got his name and the date he was born and the date he passed away. I got a horseshoe here that I picked up when I went to Lakeview, Oregon one time. That was June the 27th of 2011. Number 14, that's old Tony Stewart. When I liked watching NASCAR, he was my NASCAR driver, and I seen them numbers laying on a job one day. It was more numbers than that, but I picked up the 1 and 4. You can see I made me a little sign here. Morning I hunt, fish, and tell lies. Now some of you guys may not get that, but every fisherman tells lies. Cause when he catches a fish this long, he gonna say, I caught a fish that long today. Well, that's telling lies. You kill a buck deer and he got horns like this, you say, I killed a buck deer, had horns like that today. Well, that's telling lies. That's what that sign's all about. I don't call it just bad lies, but that's hunting and fishing lies. Also, I got a fishing ruler up here. Now, I know y'all can't read it, it's done faded away, but that's a 12-inch ruler. But on my ruler, that 12-inch ruler is actually 28 inches long. So when I catch a little 4-inch fish, he gonna measure about 14 inches long. That's my way of fishing with my buddies. Let's get over here and get back to the tomatoes. I'm gonna fool around here talking all that bull hockey with y'all and gonna mess up on my canning my tomatoes. But a man's gotta have a little bit of laughter in his life. Some of these tomatoes right here are bad. Them little ones there, they done, once they get overripe, they bust open out here, and I don't like using them once they bust open. But I'm thinking that's gonna be enough. It may be enough to do more than 11 pints. I hope so. We do pint jars, because pint jars is just right to make tomato gravy. For about 1 pint jar, you can make tomato gravy and with your biscuits and stuff, and that's enough for 4 people to eat. If you ain't never eaten no tomato gravy, I can't rightly remember. I might have a video I made of making tomato gravy before. If I do, I try to attach it above. If I look back and I ain't made one, I really need to get my wife to make a video for y'all making, but she don't want a video. But if I ain't got that video, I'll make y'all a tomato gravy video one day, how to make good tomato gravy. Like I said, some tomatoes some of these is gonna be busted open more than others, because I got Cherokee tomatoes, celebrity tomatoes. The celebrity tomatoes is the best looking tomato I've grown this year, but they're not the best tasting tomato. The best tasting tomato I've grown is these Cherokees. It's called Cherokee Purples. But guys, we've been getting so much rain. Y'all see what happens when you get a lot of rain? Your tomatoes will crack open. And that's from getting too much water. See, that ain't cracked open or nothing. But when you see your tomatoes do that, that's because they're getting too much water too quick. These little honeydew delights. These are little small tomatoes, but these are some of the best tasting tomatoes I've grown. And now these are called Arkansas Travelers. But these ain't the old original Arkansas Travelers like we used to grow in this part of the world, so I won't be growing these again. I'm gonna try to get some seeds from some locals around here. I ordered these seeds, but something's done got jacked up about that. That's not the old original Arkansas Traveler, and I ain't the only person that said that. I've heard other people around here say that too. Older people. All right, looks like we got them blanched. I'm going to just dump these in my cold water. For this step, I'm gonna put a little rubber glove on my left hand because I got a blister right there. I had to use a rake raking some dirt last weekend, and I got a little blister. So I'm gonna put a little glove on this hand. Let me see if I can get y'all over here a little closer. Y'all see that right there? June the 27th through the 30th of 2018, the rodeo in Pecos. I was out there all year in 2018 working in Pecos, Texas. Guys, it ain't nothing in Pecos, Texas no more. Alright, so I just reached down in here and I just take my knife. You see how you can just pull them peelings right off them tomatoes? I just cut the core out there. Now again, I waste a lot when I'm doing this, but I got plenty of tomatoes. This here I'm just gonna quarter up, put it over here in my dish pan, and that's ready to go in the jars. But just taking that time to blanch these tomatoes makes them way easier to peel. Now they make a little tomato core that you just dip down in there and pop that core out. And I haven't never got one of them. Actually, I can't never remember to look for one or order one. But it seems like when I see people using them, they work pretty good. Like I said, I'm just used to how my grandma and mom done stuff. They didn't have all these tools. They didn't have the electric water canners, and they had to do it on the stove top, butane stove, and house get to 125 degrees in there while you canning. And I actually ordered me a electric, I guess you would call it a hot plate, but it takes you got to have like a 1700 watt hot plate. Now that's about the biggest one you can get that runs off of 110 electricity in order to use your pressure canner on it. And I ordered me one of them hoping it would be in. Now, right now it's actually cheaper to use electricity than it is use butane, like me using that fish cooker over there. And then also that using a pressure canner, them little hot plates they sell at Walmart, I got one we use out here to cook on, but it's only like a 900 watt or something. It won't get hot enough to get your pressure canner up there quick enough. Now if you got a bad spot on your tomato, like I got a little bad spot, all you do is just cut it out and make sure that you cut it to where you don't see no more bad down in your tomato. Ain't nothing wrong with this tomato. Matter of fact, guys, all your tomato sauce, tomato paste, all that stuff that you buy from the grocery store, that's made out of tomatoes that are what's called your cold tomatoes. The people that grow tomatoes, they sell their number ones in the grocery stores, your slicers and stuff, just for your tomatoes. And then all their cold tomatoes goes to the plants and stuff, and that's where they make all your juice and sauces and tomato paste and stuff like that. See, there's got a bad spot on it. But that's just on the outside. It ain't down into the tomato. I've had some people ask me, Eddie, is it worth this? And what's sad about it is some of my close peoples around here that ask me this question. Well, I guess if you can still go purchase stuff, it may not be worth it. But if it comes a day that they can't go to the store and purchase what they want, and they don't know how to do this, I'm gonna look at them and I'm gonna say, you think it's worth it now? That's what it's all about, guys. That's just like raising these tomatoes right here. Right now where I live, there's people around here that have what we call truck patches, which is big patches of tomatoes they raise and other vegetables. And I can drive to their house and buy all the tomatoes I need, cheaper than probably what I just spend on watering out here. But that ain't the point. The point is, I like doing it, and I don't want to forget the old ways, or when you have to go back and depend on them. Now see, guys, like that ripe tomato there is kind of overripe and mushy. You want to mix them right on in with your tomatoes, because that makes your juice good in that jar. Really, when you use it to make tomato gravy and cooking. The best tomatoes that I had for canning last year, I raised some Roma tomatoes, and they was kind of shaped like these right here. But this is a different brand this year, or different variety, I mean. It peels easy. And see, you can just pinch the core off. And they small enough you just put them in there whole. But I didn't plant but 2 plants of them this year, and they really didn't do that well. Actually, One of them got several tomatoes on it out there now. They just ain't ripe yet. But them are the best canning tomatoes because they got more what we call meat on a tomato and less seeds and less juice. And they make for good canning tomatoes. And guys, if y'all watching this, and some of you are Travis's fans from Lazy Dog Farms that come over to my channel, I didn't have no more tomatoes to even make a video beating him on size of tomatoes. But I'm gonna give him a run for his money next year. Hopefully me and him can get together at the beginning. Of course, I'm gonna do a little smack talking. I think I can take him. But I think old Travis is already thinking about how he can grow that 2-pound tomato. I sent him a message last night. I said, it's gonna take a 2-pound tomato to beat me next year, so you better be searching out your tomatoes right now. That's what I call smack talking, people. Just having a little fun. Just having fun. Big tomato there got a big deep core in it. Guys, that's the thing about some of these heirloom tomatoes like these Cherokees. They don't grow pretty. They might be all different kind of crazy shapes, but they just seem to always taste better to me. Y'all can see these Cherokee purples. They ain't just a pretty red tomato in there. They'll be purplish, greenish, reddish. They ain't a pretty tomato by no means. That's why you don't see these in the grocery store. Guys, just about all the tomatoes you buy in the grocery store is what you call hybrid tomatoes. And they've crossbred them tomatoes and come up with tomatoes out of different heirloom tomatoes to begin with. And this has been going on for so many years. They do that to get a pretty tomato. Why they want pretty tomatoes? Because that's what people want. They go in the grocery store, they want a real pretty tomato. They ain't worried about the taste of it. If it ain't pretty, I ain't buying it. That's the way people look at things nowadays. That's why advertisements sell more stuff than actually how good the product is itself. You can have a product on the market, and if you got a good advertisement for it, a good salesman makes it pretty, sounds interesting, people's gonna buy it just to try it. And they don't even put no time into looking at it and seeing if it's worth anything, or, oh boy, that's pretty. Get them pretty tomatoes. Them over there, them Cherokees, they ugly. But pretty's what sells. If I was a good looking girl standing here with a bikini on doing this, I guarantee you I could get to 10,000 subscribers. But I'm just an old ugly country boy in overalls. There ain't too many people cares about looking at an old country boy in overalls, but if you had a pretty lady standing here wearing her little skimpy short shorts and all that, yeah, everybody click on it and they'd hit the subscribe button before they ever watched your video. They could watch your video, and when they got to the end, guys, they wouldn't even know what the video was about. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. It's sad, but that's the truth. Alright guys, we got all of our tomatoes peeled and quartered and cut up. And like I said, I don't go to no big extent about trying to cut mine up just real pretty, because they're going to go in that jar, and when you dump them in something to cook, you're going to stir them around and they're going to disperse anyway. I ain't all about that holding that jar up and saying, you know, a lot of it's pretty, but when I say it's pretty, that's because it's pretty to me. I know it's going to be good to eat. I ain't worried about holding that jar up and saying, man, I should have done a little better on them. I could have cut them a little straighter. It'd make them prettier sitting on the shelf. Patooey on that. I ain't worried about what they look like in that jar. That pretty tomato in that jar is going to taste the same as that ugly tomato in that jar. Don't matter how it's cut up, does it? Heck yeah. Come on, let's move over here. We got work to do. Alright guys, now that we got our tomatoes, I got to get me a cup to dip my juice out of here with. Actually, I got one of my coffee cups. Guys, I keep 2 of these coffee cups. I know y'all see me drinking with them all the time, but I got 4 of them. And they made them metal. And that's about the only cups I like to drink out of after I got to drinking out of them. So I keep 2 out here, and I got 2 in the house. But I like using these. You can use them to dip your juice with and drink good coffee. But now we've been to get our jars out, and I got my lids right here. Put some hot water on them. Now some of these lids nowadays say you ain't got to put hot water on them, but I like putting them in some warm water, and it softens that ring up. I don't want to do me no canning and not have no lid to seal after I done all this work. So we're finna get our jars out. Like I said, these have been sitting here in about 180, 190 degree water just before a boil. Give your hands a good washing and sanitizing, because when I start putting these tomatoes in there, I use my hands. I ain't never been able to work good without using my hands, and it kills me nowadays on these jobs and stuff. They want to make people wear gloves all the time, no matter what they're doing. Now guys, there's things in life, there's places you ought to wear gloves. I should have had some gloves on when I was using that rake, and I wouldn't have got that blister problem. But there's a lot of things in life you just can't do with gloves on. But right now, we're finna get on over here. For canning your tomatoes, you want 100% lemon juice, or you can get some citric acid. I like using lemon juice. Put a tablespoon per pint jar. 2 tablespoons per quart jar. And that comes right out of the Ball Preserving book. And guys, that book I will have attached in the description below. And I'll have in the description below everything that I use in any of my canning. And I got affiliated links that you can go straight to that product on Amazon. And I greatly appreciate it if y'all use them links. And guys, even if you go to Amazon and you don't buy that product, but you go on shopping and buy something else, as long as you go through one of my links, it helps me out. And what I mean by helps me out, some people don't want to tell people, but it helps me out. I get like a 1 or 2% off of what you purchase. But now it don't cost you a thing, but it does help me out by going through my affiliated links, and I'd sure appreciate it if everyone done that. Next up, now this is optional. Now I didn't put no salt in my tomato juice, but it's optional, and I'm gonna add a half a teaspoon of salt to my tomatoes. We done this last year, and like I said, everything come out so good, we like it, so that's why I'm sticking to the same way I do it. And this is in the ball canning book, telling you it's optional. I like it because I think when you cook, things taste better when the seasonings is cooked in it, not just added on top at the end. So a little salt in your tomatoes goes on and has a little salt. That way when you cook, you don't have to add salt. Or maybe you don't have to add as much. And now we're finna put our tomatoes in here, and I'm trying to mix around some of the ones that's kind of overripe, some of the ones that could have been a little riper. Uh-oh. And I just kind of pack them down in there. Not pack them as in super tight pack them, but make sure you're getting plenty in the jar. Don't want to open a jar of tomatoes and then not have no tomatoes in there. Then you might well just open a jar of tomato juice, huh? And you can see when I'm doing this, some of these I ain't gonna have to add nothing juice wise, because they kind of filling themselves up with juice. Now that there I put too much in. That's called packing in their own juice. So all I gotta do is top it off. And the way these are juicing up, these are making way more juice than them. I messed up and got a core in that one. My wife might get mad at me. She tried to make her some gravy and I got a tomato core left in there. But these are making way more juice than them Romas I done last year. So all I'm gonna have to do is just top these off with a little hot water. Or I could get some water out of there where no, it's gonna be enough juice in the bottom of this dish pan when I get done to top these jars off. Y'all see why I use my hands? It's just so much faster than it is trying to dip them out with a spoon. I will say last year, if you like pretty, last year when I done just aroma tomatoes, they was a lot prettier in the jar than these are. Oh, I'm gonna have enough. I may not have to can tomatoes again after today. I'm gonna have enough for 2 batches. I got another core there. See, that's why you gotta watch when you're loading your tomatoes. Guys, that's why another reason I like using my hands. If I'd have been dipping these out with just say a cup or a dipper, and I done messed up and got a core in there, it could be in that cup and I'd pour it in my jar and never know it. So we're in my hands here, I can feel what I'm doing. So there's benefits to doing it this way also. Keeps you from putting some tomato skin or a core that you messed up and got over in you. Alright, so I'm going to cover this bag up. Actually, I'm going to set this in the ice box. I might have enough to do 11 more jars here. Well, right now I'm forgetting what I'm going to do. Right now I'm going to take my little dipper here and get some of this juice out of there. And we want to get up there to a 1/2 inch head space. Now if you ain't good at figuring out the 1/2 inch head space, that means from the top of the liquid to the top of the jar. And some of these little tools, it's got little measurements on it that you can stick down in there and measure it. But after you do it a while, you can pretty much see you get right up to that bottom ring on that jar there. And you got your 1/2 inch head space. And And this is called canning your tomatoes in their own juice. And the reason the cook time is longer on this, it's going to be an iron 25 minutes in the water bath. But the reason it is because that's actually cooking the tomatoes as it's giving the water bath. And that's straight out of the Ball canning book. That ain't Eddie Newell making that up. Alright guys, then you want to take something, you can take a chopstick, whatever, but these little canning tools here, again, these will be in the description below. This comes in a little kit. Ain't, I don't know, $12, $13. You want to run that around your jar like that to make sure you get the air out. Ain't no air bubbles trapped down in there. If you got too much tomatoes in there like I do that right there, I need to get one out. Then I'm going to have to add a little more juice back in there. That there I got a little too much in there. I think I got a little too much in all of them, because you want your juice to cover the top of the tomato when you get it up there to your 1/2 inch head space. Because some of these I had to remove a piece of tomato out of just to, I done overpacked them. Alright, now we're looking pretty good. Now to clean the top of my jars, I got some vinegar. I got here in a little bowl, or a little cup. I like getting vinegar on me a clean paper towel and cleaning the top of my jars. Like I said, you don't want to go through all this time and work, then your jar is not sealed. Alright, so double check ourselves. We got our lemon juice in there, tablespoon. We got a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We done our air bubbles, got them out. Retopped everything, making it look like about a 1/2 inch. Get your lids, set them on there centered. See, I like this little thing here, got a magnet on it. That way you ain't gotta stick your hands in that hot water. Then we got our rings I washed, and I had them just sitting over here in some clean water. Now guys, when you put your rings on, you don't tighten it tight. You just run them down there finger tight. And the reason for that, for you ones that ain't been canning or understand, if you tighten it tight, when you put them in the water bath canner and it heats up, you need them not tight, so it'll blow it's got to blow pressure out, I guess is what I'm trying to say, out the jar. And if you got them tight, it can't release the pressure. So when you just put them finger tight and that rubber's on that seal, it'll blow the pressure out of your jar, and then as it starts cooling down, the seal's gonna seal. That's the whole purpose of having to do a water bath or a pressure canner when you're canning food. Alright, now we've been set them in the water bath canner. I'm going on and cranking the knob up on it, so it'll be heating up faster. Like I said, this water is already about 180 degrees. Alright. Now guys, this canner, you got to make sure your water's 1 inch over the top of them jars. And after putting them jars in there filled, I got a little bit too much water. It's almost running over top of the pot. And it's got a line here that says max fill, so that's why I'm dipping some of this water out. You want to set your diffuser on there, and that's that way when it's bubbling it keeps the air trapped down on your jars, not letting air in your jars. Guys, once this comes up to a boil, I turn my fire back down just a little bit to keep it at a slow boil. Set a timer for 1 hour and 25 minutes, and then we'll come back, take the lid, turn the fire off. I'm calling it fire, but this is electric. Turn my knob off, take the lid off, and then we'll wait another 5 minutes before we remove them. So right now I got about an hour and 30-minute break. I'm finna sit down over here and have me a cup of coffee, and I'll see y'all here in about a blink of an eye. All right, guys, it's been 85 minutes in the water bath. Turned the fire off, took my lid off. I waited a good 5 minutes. Actually, it's been about 8 minutes. Now I'm gonna remove my tomatoes. I like turning mine upside down when I get them out. That's what they look like, guys. But while I was waiting on these to water bath, I didn't get much of a break. I washed up more jars. I went to the garden and got some more tomatoes. Got them washed, blanched, cut up. And I'm gonna have enough for another batch or maybe 2 more batches. And in the Ball Cannon book about turning these jars upside down. That's just one of them things my mom and grandma always done. Plus to me it's got salt in there and lemon juice, and I think it kind of helps spread it out through there. Plus it gets the water off the top, so I ain't got to wipe the tops off. And when them jars being hot, they'll dry right off. Also, I forgot to mention in this video, in my water bath canner, I put 2 or 3 tablespoons of vinegar in that water, and that keeps your jars from coming out with that old white film and stuff on it in case you got hard water. So guys, right now, like I said, I got 1 or 2 more batches I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna get back with y'all and show y'all how many jars I ended up with. So just for a blink of an eye, I'll be back for y'all, but it's gonna be about 4 hours for me. Alright guys, so it's about 4 hours later, and what I ended up with was 11 pints and 7 quarts. I thought I was gonna have a little more tomatoes than that, but that's all I had. So I'll probably be doing this again in the next few days, because we need about that many more. But guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and if you will, please go over to Lazy Dog Farms channel. Check out Travis. Subscribe to his channel. Help support him and his wife. And while you're over there, do me a favor. Put on one of them comments that Poor Boy said that you're going to need a 2-pound tomato if you're going to beat him next year. That'll get him woke up over there. He'll sure enough be searching them seed catalogs trying to find that big tomato he can grow. But anyway, guys, that's all a little fun, but I do wish you'd go over and check out his channel and leave him a little message, give him a little poke here and there in the side. I appreciate y'all watching. God bless. Hope y'all have a great day. See y'all next time.